We all know that whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But what exactly is Vegas? And why does it exist? And why do approximately 2.5 million people choose to live in the middle of a vast, inhospitable desert? Join us today on our journey to learn more about this area as we take a look at Las Vegas as it exists today and then dive into the city's rich history. Known as a playground for adults, Vegas is one of the most iconic cities in the world due to its vibrant neon lights, world-famous casinos and gambling halls, enormous resorts, legendary nightlife, dining and shopping, and a seemingly endless variety of shows and other entertainment options. According to Condé Nast Traveler, Las Vegas is the 6th most visited city in the United States, boasting over 42 million visitors annually, and is the 3rd most popular destination in the United States for hosting conventions. The name Las Vegas translates from Spanish to English as the Meadows, and was coined and used by Mexican traders who noted the area's vegetation, grasses, and trees that grew along the nearby springs. But before we go any further, there is one thing we need to clear up. When most people talk about Las Vegas, they are referring to the Las Vegas metro area, or the Las Vegas Valley. It's an important distinction because the city of Las Vegas, often referred to as Old Vegas or downtown, does not include the famous Las Vegas Strip or many other surrounding areas. The Las Vegas Metro, or Las Vegas Valley, consists of the cities of Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Boulder City, and Henderson, as well as the unincorporated towns of Paradise, Enterprise, Whitney, Spring Valley, Sunrise Manor, and Winchester, all within Clark County, Nevada. For those that have been to Las Vegas, the city of Las Vegas is centered around Fremont Street and is where the first settlers in the area laid the foundations for the metro area. However, most of the newer and larger casinos, such as the Bellagio or Caesar's Palace, line the famous Las Vegas Strip, which is just south of the city of Las Vegas and is technically and jurisdictionally parts of Paradise and Winchester. But for purposes of this video, we will use Vegas or Las Vegas when referring to the entire Las Vegas Valley, unless specified otherwise. The city of Las Vegas is the most populous city in the US state of Nevada, and is the largest city founded in the 20th century. It is the county seat of Clark County, Nevada, and the Vegas Metro is the largest metro area within the Mojave Desert, and is the 2nd largest metro in the American Southwest, only after Phoenix. Some nicknames for Las Vegas include Sin City, the City of Lights, the Gambling Capital of the World, Neon City, Disneyland for Adults, the City of Second Chances, America's Playground, the Entertainment Capital of the World, and the 9th Island, due to the large amount of Hawaiian natives who travel to or live in Las Vegas. Some famous individuals from Las Vegas include tennis legend Andre Agassi, NASCAR drivers and brothers Kurt and Kyle Busch, actress Charisma Carpenter, UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir, professional baseball players Bryce Harper, Barry Zito, and Chris Bryant, NFL running backs Steven Jackson and DeMarco Murray, and actress and comedian Jillian Bell. And some famous bands were formed in Las Vegas as well, including The Killers, Panic at the Disco, Imagine Dragons, Five Finger Death Punch, and Falling in Reverse. Since the 1930s, Las Vegas has experienced incredibly high growth rates. In most decades since, the city's population more than doubled each census. During the 1990s, the Vegas Valley was the fastest growing metro area in the United States. And by 2006, Las Vegas was the 28th largest city in the United States, with nearly 1.8 million people living in Clark County alone. According to 2024 US Census estimates, the city of Las Vegas had a population of 678,922. The Vegas metro area had a population of 2,398,871, and the Las Vegas combined statistical area had a population of 2,454,861, making it roughly the same size as Cincinnati, Nashville, or Kansas City. Las Vegas is home to numerous unique and unusual museums, including the Atomic Testing Museum, the Burlesque Hall of Fame, the Erotic Heritage Museum, the Museum of Organized Crime and Law Enforcement, also known as the Mob Museum, the Liberace Museum, the Neon Museum, the Pinball Hall of Fame, the Shelby Museum, the Thunderbirds Museum, and the Nevada State Museum. Las Vegas is also surprisingly close to numerous world-renowned natural attractions. All of the following points of interest are less than a 3-hour drive from Las Vegas. Mount Charleston. At a height of 11,916 feet, this mountain is the tallest peak near the Vegas Valley and is a getaway for locals. Mount Charleston is snow-capped for more than half the year. The Valley of Fire State Park, so named because the redstone formations in this 46,000-acre nature preserve often appear to be on fire when reflecting the sun's rays. Red Rock Canyon, a national conservation area of over 197,000 acres, offering miles of hiking trails, rock climbing, mountain biking, and horseback riding. Gold Strike Hot Springs, a group of hot springs located on the Arizona and Nevada border. Lake Mead and the Hoover Dam. Lake Mead is one of the largest man-made lakes in the world. It provides boating, swimming, and fishing activities for locals and water to over 20 million people. The Hoover Dam, known as the Boulder Dam until 1947, was the highest dam in the world when completed in 1935 and offers stunning views of the nearby landscape. Death Valley National Park, home to the lowest, driest, and hottest terrain in the United States. Zion National Park. With its scenic canyons and waterways, this is often referred to as one of our most beautiful national parks. And Grand Canyon National Park, showcasing the beautiful 277-mile long and up to 18-mile wide canyon that averages about a mile in depth. And even more natural attractions are just over a 3-hour drive from Las Vegas. As one might expect, the primary drivers of the Las Vegas economy are tourism, gaming, entertainment, and conventions. With over 150,000 hotel rooms, Vegas has more hotel rooms than any other city in the world. There are 3 Fortune 500 companies located in the Vegas Valley, and all are related to the gaming and tourism industry. MGM Resorts International, Caesars Entertainment, and Las Vegas Sands. Additionally, several companies involved in the manufacture of gaming and gambling machines are located in the Vegas area. This enormous tourism, gaming, entertainment, and convention industry in turn feeds local retail, hotel, and restaurant industries. And the construction industry also accounts for a large share of the Vegas economy, as large hotel casinos often take several years to build, and there's a seemingly never-ending demand for high-rise condominiums and suburban housing. As the third most popular destination in the United States for hosting conventions, Vegas hosts some of the largest annual or periodic conventions in the country, including the SEMA Automotive Aftermarket Show with over 160,000 attendees, the Con Expo Construction Equipment Show with over 142,000 attendees, the CES Consumer Electronics Trade Show with over 108,000 attendees, and the IBS and KBIS Expo for the house construction and remodeling industries with over 110,000 attendees. But not all companies located in Las Vegas are related to the tourism industry. Other notable companies headquartered in Las Vegas include Zappos.com, an online shoe and clothing retailer, Allegiant Airlines, which launched as an ultra-low-cost airline in 1997 and whose main air hub is located at Harry Reid International Airport, and Shelby American, the company founded by American racing legend Carroll Shelby and which specializes in the design, manufacturing, and marketing of performance vehicles. Nearby Nellis Air Force Base is also a major driver of the Vegas economy. Nellis is home of the United States Air Force Warfare Center and hosts joint training exercises between the United States Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, and other NATO and allied nations. These training exercises typically take place over the nearby Nevada Test and Training Range. Nellis is also one of the primary Air Force installations used for training fighter pilots, and is home to the Air Force Thunderbirds, the air demonstration team of the United States Air Force. Nellis employs approximately 10,000 military and civilian personnel and hosts a total military population of over 40,000 people, if you include family members and retired military members in the area. The Vegas Valley is served by two interstate highways. Interstate 15 connects northeast to Provo and Salt Lake City, Utah, and southwest to Los Angeles and San Diego, California. And Interstate 11 is a 54-mile-long interstate highway that runs from the Arizona border near the Hoover Dam in the southeast up to the northwestern side of Las Vegas, connecting Boulder City and Henderson to the greater Vegas area. The region is served by Harry Reid International Airport, the 8th busiest airport in the United States by passenger volume and is the primary commercial airport for Vegas. Reid is served by over 30 airlines. The smaller North Las Vegas Airport handles most general aviation traffic in the area. Las Vegas also boasts some relatively unique means of public transportation as well. The Las Vegas Monorail was opened in 1995 and offers automated monorail mass transit along a north-south corridor running roughly parallel to the Vegas Strip. At 3.9 miles long, this monorail connects many of the largest resort casinos to the convention center. The monorail uses 9 fully automatic Bombardier trains, nearly identical to the ones used at Walt Disney World, and is operated today by the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. The Convention and Visitors Authority also owns and operates the Las Vegas Convention Center Loop, which has been operating since 2021. The Loop is an underground transportation system that uses Tesla Model Y vehicles to shuttle passengers. The Teslas have drivers right now, but future plans are to make them driverless. The loop currently is only 1.7 miles long and serves 5 stations surrounding the convention center, but plans are to expand to a total of 68 miles with 55 stops, to include stops at Harry Reid International Airport, downtown Vegas, and major league sports stadiums. And speaking of sports, Las Vegas hosts several major league sports teams. The NHL's Las Vegas Golden Knights began play in 2017 and won the Stanley Cup for the 2022 to 2023 season. The WNBA's Las Vegas Aces began play in the area in 2018 and already have 2 championships, winning the WNBA Finals in 2022 against the Connecticut Sun and again in 2023 against the New York Liberty. The NFL's Las Vegas Raiders began play at Allegiant Stadium, also known as the Death Star, in 2020. The Raiders franchise won a total of 3 Super Bowls in 1977, 1981, and 1984 before moving to Las Vegas, and Allegiant Stadium hosted Super Bowl 58 between the Chiefs and 49ers in 2024. And, if things continue as planned, the Las Vegas Athletics will begin Major League Baseball play in 2028. The Athletics are a storied franchise that have won a total of 9 World Series titles. Groundbreaking for a new $1.75 billion 33,000-person capacity stadium commenced in 2025. As the entertainment capital of the world, Vegas has also been the site of many prominent combat sport events. Vegas has been hosting title fights since the 1960s and 70s, with boxing greats such as Muhammad Ali and George Foreman passing through. Then, in the 1980s and 90s, Vegas began hosting what many dubbed mega fights, with Sugar Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, and Oscar De La Hoya having legendary fights in the city. And of course, Las Vegas is the headquarters of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, where the city has hosted countless UFC fights. Although founded in Denver, Colorado in 1993, when the company grew immensely in the 2000s, it was decided to build a corporate campus in Vegas to better coordinate the numerous events it held in the area and to better maintain relationships with key partners in the sports and entertainment sectors. Lastly, Vegas is home to numerous auto racing events each year. The Las Vegas Motor Speedway hosts NASCAR's Pennzoil 400 and South Point 400 each year. And since 2023, Formula One has held the Las Vegas Grand Prix on and along the Vegas Strip as part of its Formula One World Championship. And the Vegas Valley is served by 1 major university and 2 major colleges. The largest, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, is a public land-grant research university with over 31,000 students. The campus is located only a mile and a half east of the Vegas Strip. Nevada State University is a public college in Henderson with over 7,000 students. And the College of Southern Nevada serves as the public community college of Clark County. The area is also home to the Desert Research Institute, Southern Nevada Science Park, a nonprofit research campus that primarily conducts environmental research in the fields of atmospheric sciences, earth and ecosystem sciences, and hydrological sciences. And finally, you may be wondering where Las Vegas and its 2.5 million people get their water from in such a dry desert. According to the Las Vegas Valley Water District, approximately 90% of the valley's water comes from the Colorado River and Lake Mead, and about 10% comes from groundwater, pumped from wells deep below the Earth's surface. Las Vegas has been a world leader in water conservation and management efforts. The valley enforces very strict irrigation schedules. It has incentivized grass removal and promoted xeriscaping, which is a type of landscaping or gardening that utilizes desert flora and drought-tolerant plants to reduce the need for watering. The city recycles and reuses virtually all of its indoor water, and water investigators are employed to go out into the community and investigate for water violations and issue fines for water misuse. All of these water management and conservation efforts have led to a 55% decline in per-person water usage in the valley since 2002. So now that we have a pretty good understanding of Las Vegas as it exists today, let's take a look at how Vegas got here by diving into the city's history. But before we continue, just a brief reminder that if you are a fan of the content we create, please show your support by giving us a like, commenting on the video, or subscribing to our channel. We greatly appreciate any and all support from the community. Las Vegas sits in southern Nevada, roughly 40 miles from the California border and 25 miles from the Arizona border, which is formed by the Colorado River. The city lies at an elevation of 2,020 feet above sea level in a basin in the middle of the Mojave Desert and is surrounded on nearly all sides by tall mountains, some of which reach elevations of over 10,000 feet. Vegas experiences a hot desert climate with very little rain. The area only receives approximately 4 inches of rain per year. However, there is abundant sunshine, and with an average of 310 sunny days per year, it is one of the sunniest, driest, and least humid locations in North America. June through September are extremely hot. Temperatures often exceed 102 degrees Fahrenheit or 39 degrees Celsius daily in July and August, but the nights remain relatively cool. The area experiences mild winters with average winter temperatures hovering around 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius. And due to its high elevation, every few years the city can experience several inches of snowfall. But perhaps most important to the city's founding and early growth, Las Vegas is the site of a natural oasis in the middle of the Mojave Desert. The city sits on top of numerous bubbling water springs, including the Las Vegas Springs. These springs supported meadow and wetland ecosystems in the middle of the harsh desert and were surrounded by tall grasses and mesquite trees. Additionally, wetlands formed around the Las Vegas Wash, a 12-mile stream on the east side of the present-day city where any excess water that accumulated in the valley would feed into the Colorado River. Drawn to these natural springs in the middle of the desert, archaeologists have evidence that humans began living in the Las Vegas area around 10,000 years ago. And around approximately 700 AD, members from the Pueblo and Southern Paiute Native American tribes moved into the area, often spending their summers in the nearby mountains and their winters in the Las Vegas Valley near the springs. Europeans discovered the Las Vegas Valley in 1829, but before we get into that, we should cover a little background on who had claim to the area over time. As we covered earlier, Native Americans had been living in the Vegas Valley for thousands of years. But in the 1530s and 40s, Spain began exploring the west coast of modern-day California and the southwestern United States, and began establishing missions there. In 1598, the Spanish Empire established the province of Santa Fe de Nuevo Mexico, and years later, in 1767, it established the province of Las Californias, which encompassed modern-day Las Vegas. In 1804, Spain split Las Californias into Baja California and Alta California, where Las Vegas was. Alta California remained in Spanish control until Mexico gained its independence from Spain in 1821 and took control of it. Mexico then controlled Alta California for several years until the United States acquired it following its victory in the Mexican-American War and subsequent Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848. Then, on October 31, 1864, the United States Congress admitted Nevada as the 36th state in the Union, and there it has remained until this day. However, In 1829, while Las Vegas was still under the control of Mexico, Rafael Rivera became the first non-native to discover the area. Traders in Santa Fe had searched for years for an easy trail that would connect it to the newly settled areas along California's coastline. Rivera was a Mexican scout that took part in Spaniard Antonio Armijo's first successful commercial caravan trip from Nuevo Mexico to Alta California. This route would become known as the Old Spanish Trail. Armijo's commercial caravan left from Abiquiu, New Mexico, just outside of Santa Fe, and traveled overland all the way to present-day Los Angeles. The journey took the party 86 days to complete. The Old Spanish Trail would be used up until the 1850s and allowed hand-woven Native American products from New Mexico, such as serapes and blankets, to be traded for the many wild mules and horses that populated the California coast. On Armijo's first caravan journey to California, as the party was traveling approximately 100 miles northeast of the Vegas Valley, Rafael Rivera left the main party and explored the local terrain in search of water in the middle of the vast desert. Rivera stumbled upon the Vegas Valley and its numerous springs. These newly discovered springs would significantly shorten the length of the journey to California and allow a more direct route further south. Armijo logged each day of the caravan's journey, and this route would become known as the Armijo route. The Spanish-speaking explorers referred to the area of natural springs as Las Vegas, or the Meadows in Spanish, to describe the fertile area surrounding the water. Several years later, in 1844, American explorer John C. Fremont, guided by American adventurer Kit Carson, took the Armijo route and camped at the Vegas Springs. Fremont had been chosen by President John Tyler to lead a group of scientists and scouts to explore the area in preparation for a possible war with Mexico. Fremont and his party established a fort at the Vegas Springs. In 1905, the city of Las Vegas chose to honor the contributions of John Fremont by naming its main street after him, and today many consider Fremont Street to be the epicenter of Las Vegas. War with Mexico finally did arrive in 1846, and following the American victory in the war, Las Vegas, along with vast stretches of the American West, were ceded by Mexico to the United States in 1848, following the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. The fort that Fremont's party had established at the Vegas Springs would be used for many years by travelers, mountain men, hunters, and traders, but it was never permanently settled. In the mid-1840s, Mormons from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints began immigrating from the Midwest to the Salt Lake Valley in what is today the state of Utah. After the murder of the church's founder, Joseph Smith, in Carthage, Illinois in 1844, Smith's successor, Brigham Young, decided it would be best to move the church's followers out west, beyond the then borders of the United States, so that the members could live free from persecution and prosper. Approximately 70,000 Mormon pioneers arrived in the Salt Lake Valley in 1847. Efforts were put forth by the Mormons to evangelize to local Native Americans. In 1855, William Bringhurst led a group of 29 Mormon missionaries from Utah to the Vegas Valley, where they built a large adobe fort near a creek. However, after only 2 years, the Mormons abandoned the fort and returned to Utah due to an inability to grow crops in the harsh desert heat. The old Mormon fort remained uninhabited for several years until American prospector Octavius D. Gass purchased it in 1865 from the brother of one of the original Mormon missionaries who built the fort. Gass also bought out any remaining nearby land claims, and by 1872, he owned 640 acres. He named his land Las Vegas Rancho. Gass worked hard to turn the abandoned fort into a nice way station for travelers using the Old Spanish Trail, and Gass began raising cattle and horses, and grew apples, apricots, figs, peaches, and even started a vineyard on the property. But Gass's fortunes would change. In 1882, Archibald Stewart and his wife Helen moved to the Vegas Valley to take possession of the Las Vegas Ranch from Octavius Gass. Gass had defaulted on a loan from Archibald Stewart, so he used the ranch to pay off his remaining debts. But shortly after taking possession of the ranch, Archibald was shot and killed by a neighbor in 1884, leaving his wife Helen Stewart alone, raising 5 kids. However, with some help from her father, Helen successfully ran the ranch and purchased adjacent properties in anticipation of a railroad being built in the area. Helen would eventually become the first postmaster of Las Vegas and become the largest landowner in what was then Lincoln County, Nevada. Today, many refer to Helen as the First Lady of Las Vegas. In 1902, Helen Stewart sold 1,834 acres of her ranch for $55,000 to the San Pedro, Los Angeles, and Salt Lake Railroad that was then being built across southern Utah. This railroad was a joint venture between Montana Senator William Andrew Clark and Utah Senator and mining magnate Thomas Kearns. Clark and Kearns promoted the area as prime for agriculture and sold land at $1.25 per acre, attracting American farmers. These farmers dug wells and irrigation channels to successfully grow crops, and agriculture remained the primary industry of the Vegas Valley for the next 20 years. The farmers later named the area Clark County in honor of Senator William Clark. On May 15, 1905, Las Vegas was officially founded as a city when 110 acres in what is today downtown Las Vegas were auctioned to buyers. That same year, the San Pedro, Los Angeles, and Salt Lake City Railroad was completed. As Vegas had once been a water stop for wagons on the old trails, it had now become a stop for steam engines to replenish their water supplies between Salt Lake City and Southern California. Only a year later, in 1906, Clark built another railroad named the Las Vegas and Tonopah Railroad that connected Las Vegas to the many gold and silver mine boom towns northwest of the city. Clark County was created in 1909, and the city was incorporated in 1911. Peter Buell served as the first mayor of Vegas from 1911 to 1913. The city saw modest growth during this time period, mainly due to the railroads, local mines, and the draw of cheap and abundant land. But an economic recession hit the United States in 1907, and at midnight on October 1, 1910, Nevada became the last Western state to outlaw gambling. Due to these economic conditions and the United States redirecting its resources towards the Allied effort in World War I, Las Vegas struggled financially and saw very little growth until 1930. Even the Las Vegas and Tonopah Railroad declared bankruptcy, and William Clark sold the remains of the company to Union Pacific Railroad. However, an event occurred in 1930 that is arguably the single most important contributing factor to the area's future growth. In July of 1930, President Herbert Hoover signed the appropriation bill for construction of the Boulder Dam, known today as the Hoover Dam. Work began on the dam in 1931, and in very little time, Vegas's population grew from 5,000 to more than 25,000. Construction of the dam also meant Vegas fared much better than the rest of the nation during the Great Depression of the 1930s, since local workers had money to spend. Most of these newly arrived workers were young, single men, creating a perfect market for the development of casinos, bars, and showgirl theaters. Local business leaders and members from organized crime developed entertainment options, often off the books and illicitly, that catered to these newly arrived workers. Realizing that gambling would be extremely profitable for the city, the Nevada State Legislature legalized gambling at the local level in 1931, even though illegal gambling was already well established in the town. Clark County issued its first gambling license in 1931 to the Northern Club, and soon after, licensed casinos began popping up everywhere along Fremont Street. Meanwhile, the federal government desperately tried to keep its Hoover Dam workers away from the vices of Las Vegas by restricting movement of the workers to the city. But, as one can expect, the workers still found ways to visit the city, and vice in the city thrived. The dam was finally completed in 1935. As the dam was a hydroelectric dam, cheap electricity flowed into the city and along Fremont Street, supplying power to its numerous bright lights. There were so many bright, multicolored lights that locals gave Fremont Street the nickname Glitter Gulch. After completion of the dam, most dam workers left the area. However, the Hoover Dam and its reservoir, Lake Mead, became popular tourist attractions in and of themselves, drawing in thousands of visitors. It quickly became clear the area needed to build additional high-class hotels to lodge the growing tourist industry. Further promoting the area's growth, in 1940, U.S. Route 95 was extended to Las Vegas, eventually connecting the city south to the Mexican border near Yuma, Arizona, and north to the Canadian border in Idaho. You also may be wondering why so many people seem to get married in Las Vegas. And sure, Part of it is probably tied up in the thrill and excitement of being in Las Vegas, but the biggest reason came in the early 1930s. In 1931, Nevada relaxed its marriage laws, making it by far the easiest state in the nation to get married in. Unlike other states at the time, Nevada no longer required a blood test or waiting period before getting married, that many other states used to deter young couples from tying the knot while intoxicated. On top of this, Nevada's marriage paperwork was simplified and shortened. It also relaxed its minimal residency requirements before marriage. Conversely, Nevada made it really easy to get a divorce, so the risks of marrying the wrong person were mitigated. And of course, Vegas offered endless entertainment experiences and accommodations for the honeymoon. Thousands of young couples, particularly from California, flocked to Las Vegas to get married. And famous celebrities getting married in Vegas, such as Betty Grable, Elvis, and Frank Sinatra, did enormous PR work for the idea of a Vegas wedding. Las Vegas realized it had a significant business opportunity on its hands and began advertising the area as a wedding destination, offering extremely affordable and quick weddings. Iconic wedding chapels opened up to host the ceremonies, such as the Little White Wedding Chapel, the Little Vegas Chapel, the Little Church of the West, and Graceland Wedding Chapel. These wedding chapels often offered couples several exciting options to choose from as a theme for their wedding, and the Clark County Marriage License Bureau even extended its hours to midnight so that couples could obtain a license easier. Today, a couple can even get married in a drive-thru for $167. It is no wonder that Vegas is often called the marriage capital of the world. In 1941, the U.S. Army established the Las Vegas Army Airfield as a flexible gunnery school to train Army Air Corps personnel in the skill of aerial gunnery on bomber aircraft. The airfield exists today as Nellis Air Force Base. The establishment of the Airfield Gunnery School brought another sizable influx of young, single men into the Las Vegas Valley, where the city was all too happy to entertain them. The U.S. Army was not pleased with illegal prostitution happening in the city, particularly in the red light district known as Block 16, and forced Las Vegas to outlaw prostitution in 1942. It was during this time that hotel owner Thomas Hull opened the El Rancho Vegas, just south of the city of Las Vegas, becoming the first resort on what was later to become the Vegas Strip. El Rancho Vegas would become everything we now associate with modern Las Vegas casinos: attractive accommodations, all-night gambling and partying, and captivating shows. And legend has it that it was an El Rancho Vegas employee, Herb McDonald, that invented the 24/7 all-you-can-eat buffet in the 1940s. One evening, McDonald was working the casino floor late into the night and became hungry. McDonald brought out meat, cheese, and bread to make himself a sandwich at the bar while he could continue monitoring the casino floor. Nearby gamblers asked if they could join him in eating. McDonald realized that he should bring the food to the gamblers so that they could continue gambling and not have to leave the casino to eat. McDonald's idea led to El Rancho Vegas launching the first 24/7 buffet in the casino, known as the Buckaroo Buffet, costing patrons only $1. The casino no doubt lost money on the buffet, but it became a hit and attracted scores of gamblers to El Rancho Vegas to spend their money. Other casinos followed suit, and the 24/7 buffet is now common across Vegas casinos. Up to the mid-1940s, local Las Vegas families held a tight grip on the ownership of all Vegas hotels and clubs. Organized crime leaders had been involved in a limited fashion in some of the activities that went on at the casinos, but the local Las Vegas families had enough weight and money to push back and keep members of organized crime from owning anything. However, this would all change when gangster Bugsy Siegel, along with fellow gangster Meyer Lansky, opened the Flamingo Hotel. This kicked off an era of mafia-owned and operated hotels and nightlife in Vegas. Siegel and Lansky became childhood friends in New York City in the early 1900s. Both were drawn to organized crime from an early age and did work for various crime families on the East Coast. After some time in the organized crime life, Siegel eventually had a hit put on him. For Siegel's own protection, the East Coast mob sent him to California in the late 1930s to develop gambling rackets, where he eventually strong-armed local gambling chiefs into working for the East Coast mob. In only a few years, Siegel developed a vice empire in Southern California through sports betting, gambling, prostitution, real estate, and the drug trade. Siegel's reputation led him to befriend some of the most famous and powerful people in Los Angeles at the time, including Hollywood stars Clark Gable, Gary Cooper, and Cary Grant, as well as numerous studio executives like Jack Warner. It was in Los Angeles that Siegel would also meet William R. Wilkerson, the founder of The Hollywood Reporter, who was also a real estate developer and nightclub owner of various places on Sunset Strip and in Las Vegas. Siegel, wanting to venture into legitimate business to clean up his public image, loaned William Wilkerson a substantial amount of money to finish building the Flamingo Hotel on the nascent Vegas Strip. This loan made Siegel part owner of the Flamingo. However, shortly thereafter, Siegel wanted full ownership to run it his own way, so he threatened to kill Wilkerson if he did not sign over full rights to the property. Wilkerson signed the property over and eventually went into hiding in France for several years. Under Siegel's ownership, the Flamingo opened to much fanfare in December of 1946, and Siegel modeled the Flamingo on high-class casinos in Galveston, Texas, he had visited earlier in his life. But only a year after the Flamingo's opening, Siegel died in a hail of gunfire in Hollywood in 1947. But the Flamingo would serve as a model for future casinos on the Strip, and the presence of organized crime began to grow in the city. When Nevada legalized gambling in 1931, banks, including most prominently the Bank of Las Vegas, saw an enormous opportunity to lend money to build and finance the many casinos popping up in the Vegas Valley. However, in the 1950s, inspired by the success of the Flamingo, crime members from the Chicago Mafia, who had close ties with Teamsters Union President Jimmy Hoffa, lended enormous amounts of money from the Teamsters Pension Fund to Las Vegas casino owners and developers. This led to one of the largest construction booms in the city's history. These investments from the pension funds, although illegal, provided funding to construct many of Vegas's most iconic casinos, including the Sahara, the Sands, the Riviera, the Fremont, and the Tropicana. In 1950, the mayor of the city of Las Vegas, Ernie Cragen, tried to annex the fast-growing Las Vegas Strip to increase the city of Vegas's tax revenues. However, the casino owners, which at this point often consisted of members of organized crime, wanted to retain their independence and pushed back on this effort. To counter Mayor Cragen's efforts, casino owners on the Strip organized together and petitioned the Clark County Commissioners to recognize them as an unincorporated township, because under Nevada law, an incorporated town, Las Vegas, cannot annex an unincorporated township. On December 8, 1950, the commission voted to create the unincorporated town of Paradise. Only a month after its establishment, Paradise expanded to encompass over 54 square miles. However, county officials identified a problem. Paradise had gotten so large that it encompassed multiple school districts, which an unincorporated town could not do under Nevada law. To fix this, in 1953, commissioners split the unincorporated township into two unincorporated townships, Paradise and Winchester, and these boundaries still exist today. Years later, in the 1970s, the state of Nevada attempted to pass a law that would force Paradise, Winchester, and other nearby towns to incorporate into the city of Las Vegas, but this proposed legislation was struck down as unconstitutional by the Nevada Supreme Court. Rumor is the city of Las Vegas is still trying to incorporate these towns to this day, but town property owners and businesses continue to fight against this effort because they enjoy their autonomy and lower taxes, and town locals believe their communities have a distinct character they wish to preserve. Many consider the 1940s and 1950s to be the golden era of Las Vegas, as this is the decade that Vegas really began to come to its own and distinguish itself from other cities and entertainment options. One iconic thing Vegas did during this period was to promote the idea of an entertainer residency. In 1944, singer and pianist Liberace made his first appearance in Las Vegas, which would become his principal venue. Many credit Liberace for being the first resident entertainer in Vegas, and during the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, he was the highest paid entertainer in the entire world. Liberace would be followed up by the famous Rat Pack in the 1950s, featuring Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, and Joey Bishop. The Rat Pack would pop up at various casinos, often unannounced, to the delight of adoring music fans. Mr. Vegas himself, Wayne Newton, began performing in Las Vegas in the late 1950s and has now performed in Vegas for over 60 years. Elvis too held a concert residency in the city from 1969 to 1976 and performed 837 consecutive sold-out shows. These residency shows would often be spiced up by the iconic Vegas showgirls. These beautiful and highly trained dancers, with their rhinestone-studded outfits and tall feathered headdresses, attracted gamblers to the casinos, and often opened and closed for various entertainers during this time period. But the concert residency eventually fell on tough times during the 80s and 90s. Many artists who were on their last leg went to Vegas to perform for very little money, and the residency was no longer considered glamorous, more of a graveyard where struggling singers finished their careers. However, Celine Dion changed this in 2003 with her New Day residency at Caesar's Palace, and made the music residency attractive and very lucrative once again. Since then, performers such as Britney Spears, Adele, Jennifer Lopez, Diana Ross, Katy Perry, Mariah Carey, and Usher, and innumerable more, have all held successful concert residencies in Vegas. And the popularity and draw of these musical residencies introduced other types of entertainment residencies in stand-up comedy, magic shows, variety shows, spectacles, circuses, and dance. It was also in the 1950s that Vegas introduced two iconic signs to our collective memories. In 1951, the Pioneer Club erected Vegas Vic, a 40-foot-tall cigarette-smoking cowboy with an enormous grin that has welcomed visitors to the city ever since it was first lit up. And according to locals, years later in 1980, Vegas Vicky, a 40-foot-tall cowgirl, was created and introduced to Vegas Vic because Vic was lonely. Apparently, Vegas Vic and Vegas Vicky got married in 1994, and the loving couple can be found today along Fremont Street. And in 1959, the iconic "Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas" sign was installed, welcoming enthusiastic visitors and newcomers to the city ever since. This legendary 25-foot neon sign was designed by local graphic artist Betty Willis and unofficially marks the southern end of the Vegas Strip. Beginning in 1951, Vegas introduced a very unusual tourist attraction. That year, the United States government began detonating atomic bombs at the Nevada test site, only 65 miles northwest of Las Vegas. The city advertised viewing these explosions and their mushroom clouds as a tourist attraction. Patrons would sip atomic-themed cocktails from the casino's top floors and watch the nuclear explosions go off in the distance. There were even a few Miss Atomic pageants to help lure in more tourists. Vegas billed itself as Atomic City, USA. The atomic testing also brought an influx of government workers to the city who were affiliated with the U.S. Atomic Energy Program. These atmospheric atomic bomb tests would continue until 1963, when the tests were moved underground, and all atomic bomb testing eventually ceased in the area in 1992. It was also during this period that Las Vegas began transitioning from a tourist town to a modern city. McCarran Field, better known today as Harry Reid International Airport, was established in 1948 along the Vegas Strip to handle commercial air traffic. In 1957, the University of Nevada, Las Vegas was established, eventually separating from the University of Nevada, Reno in 1969, and the Las Vegas Convention Center was built in 1959. Word got out that Las Vegas was the place to be, and by 1954, over 8 million people were visiting Las Vegas annually. There was so much money pouring into the city during this time that many local officials were often either paid off or turned a blind eye to the city's growing seedy underbelly and the organized crime proliferating in the city. But in the 1960s, one of the richest and most influential people in the world at the time, film producer, aerospace engineer, and business magnate Howard Hughes, moved to the city of Las Vegas. Hughes rose to prominence in the 1920s as a director of many blockbuster Hollywood films and as owner of several Hollywood studios. In the 1930s, Hughes, a lifelong aviation enthusiast and pilot, founded the Hughes Aircraft Company, where he commissioned and tested numerous airplanes and helicopters. During and after World War II, Hughes turned the company into a major defense contractor with the United States government. Hughes would eventually go on to buy Trans World Airlines and Air West Airlines. The flying and testing of his airplanes often brought Hughes to the vast deserts surrounding Las Vegas, where flying conditions were often ideal. In the spring of 1943, Hughes was test flying his Sikorsky S-42 amphibious aircraft on nearby Lake Mead when he crashed the plane into the lake. The crash killed 2 passengers on the aircraft, and Hughes suffered a severe gash to his head, and he had to be pulled from the plane by one of the survivors on board. Later in life, Hughes, with a seemingly endless amount of wealth, began moving from city hotel to city hotel across North America, and in 1966 eventually ended up at the Desert Inn in Las Vegas. At one point, the eccentric Hughes refused to leave the hotel for several months, and instead of continuously fighting with the hotel owners, Hughes bought the hotel outright in 1967. Over the next 2 years, Hughes eventually bought several other Vegas hotel casinos, including the Castaways, the New Frontier, the Landmark Hotel and Casino, the Sands, and the Silver Slipper. He also bought several local television stations and enormous tracts of land in the surrounding desert. In 1972, Hughes eventually left Las Vegas because he wanted more privacy and security. But during his 4 years in Nevada, Hughes acquired so many hotels, businesses, and casinos that he became the largest employer in the state of Nevada. Because many of the hotel casinos that Hughes bought were previously run by the mob, Hughes is often credited with cleaning up the city of Las Vegas and turning it into a more cosmopolitan and family-friendly city. The Mafia and Rat Pack era of the mid-20th century gradually came to an end in the late 1970s and early 1980s as the World War II generation began to age and the federal government began to crack down on the Mafia. But in 1967, one of the most impactful pieces of legislation in the state of Nevada's history was passed that would have a profound effect on the future of Las Vegas: the Corporate Gaming Act. The act paved the way for corporations to more easily own casinos by removing the previous requirement of background financial checks on all shareholders for gambling licenses. Coupled with Howard Hughes' recent success in building a casino empire, the passage of the act lured enormous corporate investors to the Las Vegas casino and resort industry and started a massive casino building boom, particularly along the Vegas Strip. This period in the city's history is often referred to as the corporate era or the mega resort era. In 1969, American businessman Kirk Kerkorian, known as the father of the mega resort, opened the largest hotel in the country at the time, the International Hotel, with over 1,500 rooms. Just 4 years later, Kerkorian opened the 2,100-room MGM Grand on the Vegas Strip, which also boasted the world's largest casino. However, the true mega resort era wouldn't kick off until 1989, when Steve Wynn, backed by money from Wall Street, built the Mirage Hotel and Casino, which is generally considered the first mega resort in Vegas. The success of the Mirage started an enormous building boom of massive, luxurious hotels and resorts along the Strip. A year after the Mirage was completed, Excalibur opened as the largest hotel in the world, with over 4,000 rooms. This record was surpassed only 3 years later when the new MGM Grand opened with over 5,000 rooms. The Hard Rock Hotel Vegas, the first in a chain of Hard Rock hotel resorts, and the Egyptian-themed Luxor also opened their doors in 1993. It was also during the 1990s that several of the beloved older resorts were demolished to make room for these new mega resorts. Some of these victims included the Dunes, the Sands, and the original Aladdin Hotel and Casino. In 1996, entrepreneur Bob Stupak opened the Stratosphere Hotel and Casino just north of the Strip. Known today as the Strat, this hotel and casino offers the tallest freestanding observation tower in the United States, standing at 1,149 feet. The top of the tower offers an observation deck, a rotating restaurant, shopping, and several thrill rides. Then, Steve Wynn followed by opening the Bellagio in 1998. And lastly, the 1990s ended with the opening of Mandalay Bay, Paris Las Vegas, and the Venetian, all along the Strip. However, all of these mega resorts that were being built mostly along the Strip resulted in a substantial drop in tourism to the downtown area. For a period of 40 years, between 1980 and 2020, a new resort was not built in downtown Vegas. By 1992, 80% of the Las Vegas casino market was located on the Vegas Strip. To start improving tourist traffic to Old Vegas, the Fremont Street experience was opened in 1995. Fremont Street was the home of many firsts in the valley, including the first hotel, the first telephone, the first paved street, the first high-rise, and the first Nevada gaming license. Old Vegas wanted to celebrate this historic area by blocking off the westernmost 5 blocks of Fremont Street and turning it into a pedestrian mall with a glittering neon canopy that feels enclosed. Today, the Fremont experience features light and sound shows, a large shopping complex, and a zip line, and has vastly improved foot traffic to many of the older casinos in the area. In the early 2000s, the city of Vegas followed up the success of the Fremont Street experience by investing in numerous other projects in the downtown area, including the World Market Center, which is an enormous international furniture showroom complex, Symphony Park, which hosts the Smith Center for the Performing Arts, the Vegas Chamber of Commerce, and Discovery Children's Museum, and the Las Vegas Arts District, which includes numerous art galleries, clothing and antique stores, restaurants, and breweries. In 2003, a high-rise condominium boom began along the Strip with the opening of Park Towers and Turnberry Place. And in 2005, developer Steve Wynn opened the Wynn Las Vegas Luxury Resort Casino. And then in 2006, Red Rock Resort and Casino was opened in the west end of the valley in Summerlin, near the Red Rock Canyon National Conservation Area. Completion of the Red Rock Resort spurred construction of the Downtown Summerlin Mixed-Use Project, a shopping destination that also hosts the headquarters and practice facility of the Vegas Golden Knights at City National Arena, and Las Vegas Ballpark, home of the Las Vegas Aviators minor league baseball team. The American subprime mortgage crisis of 2007 and subsequent 2008 global financial crisis hit Las Vegas hard, comparatively harder than most U.S. cities. This is due mostly to the fact that when a major financial crisis happens, the first portion of a person's income that is usually scaled back is the portion for vacations, gambling, and luxury items. And because Vegas is primarily centered on tourism and gambling, the money in the city dried up. Furthermore, the financial crisis stalled, postponed, or outright canceled many planned large-scale resort construction projects. Up to when the housing crisis hit, Nevada had been the fastest-growing state in the United States, primarily driven by Las Vegas's growth. Because Las Vegas was such a desirable place to move to at the time, many of the houses in Las Vegas were vastly overpriced leading up to 2008. When the housing bubble popped, home prices fell by over 60% in some neighborhoods, and 1 in 4 locals lost their homes. Nevada led the nation in foreclosures for years following the crash. The halt in the construction of houses and casinos, coupled with declines in consumer spending and visitor arrivals, caused unemployment in Las Vegas to skyrocket, from 3% to over 13%. However, despite the global financial crisis, some resort projects soldiered on and construction continued. The Palazzo opened in 2007, followed by Encore Las Vegas opening in 2008, and the Cosmopolitan opened in 2010. Eventually, Vegas weathered the storm, and by 2012, economic conditions in the area began seeing signs of improvement. Many of the formerly stalled casino projects resumed construction, and the local housing market rebounded. 2012 would become known as the Year of the City for Old Vegas, as several projects worth hundreds of millions of dollars came online that year, including the Smith Center for Performing Arts, the Discovery Children's Museum, the Mob Museum, the Neon Museum, and a brand new City Hall complex. A few years later, Circa, the first new downtown property to be built since 1980, opened in late 2020. But construction along the Strip never slows down. In 2021, the Las Vegas Center completed its West Hall expansion at a cost of over $1 billion, and construction was also completed on the Resorts World Las Vegas. To this day, Resorts World is the most expensive resort ever built in Las Vegas at a cost of over $4.3 billion. Lastly, in 2023, at 67 stories tall, the Fontainebleau Las Vegas opened, making it the tallest occupiable building in Nevada. And also in 2023, in Vegas' latest attempt to push the entertainment envelope, the Sphere at the Venetian Resort opened its doors. Built at a cost of over $2.3 billion and at 366 feet in height and 516 feet in width, this spherical-shaped venue seats up to 20,000 people and totally immerses the viewer in 16K resolution interior LED wraparound screens and has speakers with beamforming and wavefield synthesis technologies, and can create four-dimensional physical effects. The Sphere's exterior boasts the largest LED display in the world. So what does the future hold for Las Vegas? Well, Vegas is not showing signs of slowing down anytime soon, and its future looks very bright. Recent US Census data shows that between 2020 and 2024, the Las Vegas metro area grew over 5.89%, from 2.2 million to almost 2.4 million. Cost of living remains relatively low, and efforts have been made by city officials to attract health-related and tech businesses. There is currently no state income tax for individuals and no state corporate tax, and other forms of business taxes remain low, making it an attractive option for families or businesses looking to put down roots somewhere else. Vegas officials are also still looking for ways to diversify away from its casino-centric economy. In 2024, it was announced that Sony Pictures is proposing to build a $1.8 billion film studio in Summerlin on land owned by the Howard Hughes Corporation. This announcement was followed soon after by an announcement from Warner Brothers that it plans to build an enormous $8.5 billion studio in the valley. So maybe we will all soon start to see the film industry make its big mark on Vegas. There have also been enormous investments made in infrastructure. In 2024, a groundbreaking was held for the Brightline West high-speed rail. When completed, the Brightline West will offer high-speed passenger train service for travelers between Las Vegas and Greater Los Angeles. The train tracks will run roughly along the same route as Interstate 15 between the two cities, and construction is planned to be completed by December of 2028. And large construction projects seem to never cease in the city. Permits have recently been approved in Vegas for the construction of two 600-foot towers at the corner of the Vegas Strip and Elvis Presley Boulevard. Plans show that one tower will be a hotel, while the other will be residential. There are currently no plans to include a casino there. And word is that a Canadian architectural firm is still trying to build a moon resort in Las Vegas that would be a 1/75,000th scale replica of our moon. The proposed resort would stand at over 735 feet tall, have 4,000 hotel rooms, and host a 10-acre active lunar colony to explore on its top floor. This proposal sounds wild, but if it happened anywhere, I imagine it would happen in Las Vegas. As the city's history shows, it seems that the growth and prosperity of Vegas is only limited by the bounds of human imagination. It is a city that attracts dreamers to test what really is possible. It is a place of hope, where someone can get a second chance or a new lease on life. It is a place where high rollers and celebrities rub shoulders with ordinary people. It is a place where fortune favors the bold, and where one lucky roll of the dice can change someone's life forever. Until next time, thanks so much for joining us today on our journey through the history of Las Vegas, a great American city.